All right, all right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the show here. I'll be started in just a minute. Okay. All right. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for your patience today. Just getting started here. A little bit of Animal Crossing this morning. We're on day 2 of our new island. Good morning.
Morning and happy Tuesday all. H day wave, H day coffee, H to shug, H day wiggle.
Okay. Yo, thank you, Dragon Martinez, for 20 months. Appreciate you, dude. Welcome to the show. Appreciate that, bud. Thank you. What's up, MS Word Expert? Good morning. Thank you for 37. Right. Check out our next day in the journey of ACNH. Nice. The Tom Nook start, the rare Tom Nook start. Beautiful. Good morning, everybody. If you're hanging out over on YouTube here this morning, or just clicking into this video, I will have timestamps and links in the description if you're looking for more of my content. I don't think you'll need many timestamps today, but regardless, and if you're watching this in the future, leave a comment. Let me know what you think about my show. Have a good day today. Good morning for those of you that are just tuning in over here on Twitch as well. The island broadcast is so fire, dude. What nostalgia. All right. Oh, thank you, Wicked Roki. I appreciate you, bud. Good morning. Oh dear, so sorry about that. The volume was a little loud there. Hello, everyone. Starting today, I'll be doing an island-wide broadcast full of updates, goings-on, and such. I'll go over some things that are very important to the island life, so lend me your island ears for a short time. Now, it's only fitting that we kick off this daily ritual with a doozy of an island announcement. The YouTube airport is now open for business. Ugh, I forgot that we named our island YouTube. Starting today, you can use online or local communications to fly to each other's islands for a visit. That's not all. No. The airport counter now offers postal services. Just like the Resident Services Center, the airport is open 24 hours a day. So please drop by for a look. 6666666. Boom, 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 boom. Thank you for the follows coming in. Good morning. All right, we're in. I realize I think I do have a physical copy of this game. In theory, I could actually visit Gale Island from this save file, which is funny. I can't remember. I think I do own physical ACNH as well as digital. Let me check my case real quick. Boom, 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 boom. Not in here, so if I have it, it's going to be in the actual game case. Yeah, that was just a random thought. It just occurred to me that because I own 2 copies of the game, technically I could do a local visit if I wanted to, which is pretty silly. If I wanted to. What's up, M Online? How was Mario Kart yesterday? It was fun. Been fun all weekend. I use OBS Studio. No one ever thought how savage it is to make Wilbur work 24 hours a day. How's your new life treating you? Are you eating well? Brushing your teeth? Washing behind your ears? Oh dear, I'm a little worked up. Here's a little something to help out. Eat it or plant it, but think of me. Oh yeah, Mom sends us a fruit. And then we got all the stuff we ordered yesterday. If people borrow a physical game, can't they upgrade to the Switch 2 version for $10? Yeah, but you still couldn't play it without the original copy of the game. Sorry. Yo, good morning, Ponka. Good morning, LPK. Welcome in here, everyone. We got pears. I can barely believe it. All right, we got our Mario pipes. We'll be taking advantage of those pipes later. For sure. Yo, chat. That spot you found for me is just incredible. Thanks. I hope we can keep looking out for each other like this. It's good to have buddies. Oh, right. I've got something here for you. Thanks again for finding a place for my place. That plain cap is perfect for YouTube. You could try it on. Oh yeah, so we're still in the tutorial phase. So they're gonna be teaching us how to play the game. All right, we'll hold on to this. We can't plant it yet. We don't have a shovel, but I think we're gonna get access to a shovel and stuff today. Probably just sell all this stuff, except for the pipe. What's up, M Ward? Good to see you, Rachel Green Tea. Whoa. Whoa. Yo, chat, I'm getting a real good vibe from the tent plot you picked for me. Thanks for the hand. We've got to look out for each other here, so if you ever need anything, don't be shy. Uni, wow. Oh yeah, I was thinking about how to thank you, and I came up with a recipe for a leaf umbrella. Sick. We're leaf umbrellaing it up. All right, so the first thing I thought when I got here was, now that's a lot of weeds. That's kind of where I got the idea for the I got the idea. It's a DIY project that uses weeds. Think about it. Weeds are the most abundant natural resource we have. Might as well as use them. True. What's up, Frog? Good to see you today. Started a new island to see what would happen. Got Flo and Sprocket.
Bam. Happy Tuesday, H-Day, arrive H-Day.
Unlocked mirror mode last night. Yeah, apparently mirror mode needs you to do 150 CC, I think. Is that what you did? Because I didn't unlock mirror mode when I did 50 CC of everything in the game. And then I read online I might have to do 150 CC of every match. So I'm not sure, but I still haven't unlocked it. Yo, thank you so much, Actual Size, for the 3-month Prime. Appreciate you getting hype in the chat, Mike. Thank you for that, dude. And Jen Not Jen comes in with the 21-monther. Good morning, Jen. Hey. What do you think of the two villagers you got?
With New Island on my Switch too.
Nice. Anukazan. Yeah, me too, dude. Yeah, dude. I'm glad people are joining. Exactly. I couldn't agree more, effing Stefan. I couldn't agree more. Yeah, 150 Grand Prix and knockout. Yeah, you just have to play. You don't have to win. Thank you. 10 peach coins, which I already have. Yeah, I already have the 10 peach coins, the question mark switches, and the question block mark. Yeah, okay. So it is the 150 CC I need to do. So I'll be doing that here. Thank you for confirming. That's what I saw a video online. That's what it told me. Thank you, Anukazan, for 8 months and welcome in. How did you start a new island on the new Switch? My account is still linked to it, so my OG ACNH island is. Well, I opted out of transferring all my data to my new Switch so that I could just transfer stuff manually. Does that mean your original island is still on the Switch 2 or Switch 1? Correct. That is right. Yeah, when you buy a new Switch 2, they give you the option to transfer all your data, but you can say no. And then you can proceed to just transfer stuff manually. And you can still play games on both devices. And that's, I mean, regardless, you could still play games on both devices. But we're talking about the save file. So no, because I said no to the transfer, my save files all stayed on the Switch 1. And then I manually transferred the save files that I wanted via the cloud, which was just a click of a button. And ACNH OG is still sitting on my Switch 1. Yeah, so... yeah, you can move it back if you want as well. You just got to use the island transfer tool. So the same way that you would transfer an Animal Crossing island from a Switch 1 to Switch 1, you can just do the island transfer tool and transfer it back to the Switch 1 if you did the full transfer. And then you can just start a new island anyways. I want to get a Switch 2, but people are talking me out of it. Well, you know, the internet's going to try to talk you out of having fun and living your life. And it's up to you, though. You got to decide what you want to do on your journey. So you can listen to people all you want, but what do you want to do, Gemini Panda? What are you looking to play Mario Kart? Maybe not. Maybe you should wait for a couple months and pick it up next year when maybe we have more games. Maybe an Animal Crossing gets announced, right? Waiting is an option. People forget that. Waiting is an option. This is a new generation of Nintendo. This is going to be around for another 10 years probably. Maybe 5, maybe 7, 8 years, maybe 10. You don't got to pick it up right now. You could just wait till later. I I wouldn't overthink it. But I certainly wouldn't let people talk me out of doing things that I love. What's up, Bright Princess? Good morning. Thank you, Trickster, for the bits, by the way. I appreciate you. I can put it back on the OG Switch and start a new one, even though my new Switch is attached to the same Nintendo account. So your Nintendo account has nothing to do with the save files that are saved to your Switch device. So you're fine. No, I did not get the Piranha Plant camera. I didn't know that. Yeah, your Nintendo account has nothing to do with save files that are saved to your physical device. Now, what your Nintendo account does allow you to do is if you subscribe to Nintendo Switch Online, you have access to the cloud saves. Cloud saves are a way for you to back up your save data and easily transfer it between devices. Most games have access to the cloud. For example, Tears of the Kingdom. Since I didn't do a system transfer, what I did was I loaded up my Switch 2, I installed Tears of the Kingdom, I went to my settings, I went to the gear, I went to data management, I went to the cloud save, found Tears of the Kingdom, and I downloaded my save file from the cloud that I pay for. Again, Nintendo Switch Online. And I downloaded my save file to my new Switch. Now you do have another option. You can actually just use this button that says transfer your save data. This would require you to have both Switches in the same room. So actually, you don't even need the cloud. If you have both Switches in the same room, it doesn't matter. At that point, the cloud is just a safety net for if something goes wrong with your Switch. So if you have both Switches, it doesn't matter. You could just click the transfer save button and you can just manually transfer your save files over by putting both Switches next to each other on like your table. And Animal Crossing and Pokemon games actually require this option. Animal Crossing does not have a cloud save that's normal. Neither does Pokemon. Those games, you don't have the luxury of just going to the cloud and downloading it like I did with Tears of the Kingdom. So I had to transfer those by taking both Switches and putting them next to each other. I had to do that for Pokemon. However, as you've noticed, I opted out of doing that for New Horizons, so I could start a new island. So again, save files have nothing to do with your Nintendo account. Your Nintendo account is your software. Your Nintendo account is your games. So if you own a digital copy of Animal Crossing New Horizons, that's attached to your Nintendo account. You're not going to be able to play Animal Crossing New Horizons on Switch 1 at the same time as you're playing it on Switch 2 because you only own one copy of New Horizons, and that's attached to your Nintendo account. So it's not like you can game the system and you can play them at the same time or anything like that. You can play them either or. You could load up your Switch 1 and play Tears of the Kingdom digital, or you could load up your Switch 2 and play Tears of the Kingdom digital. So you see, you have tons of options. The Nintendo account doesn't control anything but the games that you own. And that's digital. If you have physical games, it's even easier because you just plop the game into whatever system you're playing on, you load it up, and you play. But we're talking about digital here. So your digital games are the only thing that's attached to your Nintendo account. Save files are on the console itself, with the exception of the cloud, which is basically just a backup for when things go wrong. However, again, you can take advantage of the cloud by moving your save files around freely outside of New Horizons and Pokemon, which are the exception to the rule. So again, what I did was when I bought the Switch 2, knowing about the cloud, knowing that I had both systems that I could transfer manually, I said, no, do not transfer my data to the Switch 2. Instead, I logged into my Nintendo account. I manually downloaded my games, the ones that I wanted. So you see, I don't have all my games here. I only have this. I have way more games than this. So I just downloaded the games I wanted. I downloaded Odyssey. I downloaded Arceus. So I got all my stuff that I wanted on the Switch 2. And then I went into my settings. I went to data management. I went to the cloud and I downloaded the save files for all of the games that I plan to play on my Switch 2. Meanwhile, because Pokemon and Animal Crossing were stuck on the Switch 1 with no cloud access, I went and I did transfer your save data and I manually, no cloud, transferred all of my Pokemon saves to my Switch 2. So now I can play Arceus, Scarlet and Violet all on my Switch 2. Those save files are transferred, but again, no cloud. And then go back to Animal Crossing. However, Animal Crossing I left on the Switch 1 so that I could play Animal Crossing on my Switch 2 with my digital copy as well. Again, if you have a physical copy of Animal Crossing, it's even easier. But the save file is the thing that's confusing people. So you need to know your save file is always on the console. It's not on the cartridge. It's not attached to your Nintendo account. This isn't how save files work in this generation of Nintendo. They are downloaded to your console, and that is it. There's no memory cards. They don't save data on the cartridges. This ain't the 64 era's done. Super Nintendo era's done. That's old school. Ever since the 3DS era, I'm pretty sure, not even, pretty much since the Switch era, save files have been downloading to your console. That's been like that since the Switch generation. So none of that stuff's attached. None of that stuff works that way. Your cartridges are literally just the games themselves. That's it. And that it's been that way for a while now. So that's not how any of that works. Yo, good morning, Matt City. Good to see you today. I don't know why, but I needed the new console to start the new island. It was a total reset in my mind. Loving it so far. Yeah, the new console vibes. So if I go to my Switch 1, I can go to this option and transfer my OG island back to the Switch 2, from the Switch 2. No, you cannot, because Animal Crossing requires you to use a special tool to transfer your islands. This has been this way since New Horizons released. New Horizons requires you to use a special tool called the Island Moving Tool. You might want to Google it and you might want to look it up because it's kind of scary and it's not safe. And I don't know anything about it. I've never used it. But you need to just look it up. You need to do your own research. It's called the Island Moving Tool or some BS. Yes, Nintendo made this super complicated and nobody knows why. You have to download this stupid tool. Then you have to load the tool up. And then you're going to have to transfer your island back to your old Switch. Yeah, that's your only option. So since you already did a full system transfer to the Switch 2, you made life harder for yourself. Yeah, the Switch 2 system transfer was an exception. Yeah. They set up the Switch 2 system transfer to include ACNH. That's the thing. So normally, if you try to transfer an island from one Switch to another, you need to use this island tool thing. However, to make everyone's lives easier with the Switch 2, if you choose the option to transfer everything from Switch 1, it does include your island. This was a first time in history type situation. So yeah, most people who chose that option, your island as well as your Pokemon saves, all came from the Switch 1. But normally, you have to use the island tool system to do that. The Switch 2 made it easier for all of you. However, because you want to play on your Switch 2, in turn, you made it harder for yourself. I used the tool thing once. Very glad we don't have to do that again. Yeah, exactly. So like they just so happen to streamline the process for people buying a Switch 2. which was very nice of them. But as Rachel's realizing, if they wanted to play a new island on their Switch 2, well, yeah, that's the problem. So you're gonna have to use that tool again if you want to put it back on the Switch 1, or you just have to deal with the fact that you are just go play on your Switch 1, like Ghibli Gal said. Like maybe that's your option, right? But yeah, it is confusing to some extent. A lot of people are super confused. I actually just saw somebody put out a video. Where was it at? Was it Spawn Wave who put out this video? Because people, who was it? It might have been Austin John. No, I just saw a video show up that was like, the title was literally like, people are getting confused about how to play Switch 1, how to transfer your games back and forth. Because of the virtual card system's like super confusing. That's like a separate conversation than what we're having right now. But yeah, people are getting confused about that as well. It's like they don't understand that your virtual cards, these are your games. So I own a Switch 1, and if I wanted to play Animal Crossing on my Switch 1 digital, I'd have to eject it from my Switch 2. So I have to go into the virtual cards and I have to eject it. And then I have to go to my Switch 1 and I have to inject it. I have to install it. And then I can play on my Switch 1. So with this virtual card system, it's like weird, and you have to do this weird ejecting, and it's like it's a real game, but it's not. And yeah, so that's like a whole separate thing that's also confusing people. So do you think Nintendo will allow people to have more than one Animal Crossing save in the future? No clue. I can't answer that because I don't know why they don't let us do it now. Right? It could be a system. It could be like a technical reason why we can't. Like, did you ever wonder? So like recently with Tears of the Kingdom, they're allowing a second save file on Tears of the Kingdom now. But they didn't on the Switch 1. I can't help but think that's because the Switch 1 could not handle a second save file. Right? So like now the Switch 2 came out, and with the Switch 2 upgrade, you can have a second save file on Tears of the Kingdom. So as much as we like to meme like Nintendo does it so they can get more money from people, I think in all reality, there could be some kind of technical drawback. And that's why Animal Crossing games have never, ever allowed for more than one save per device. All the way since the GameCube, you could only have one save per memory card back then. You could only have one save on your Wild World. You can only have one save on Cityful. You've never been able to have more than one save. So I don't think that's going to change, unfortunately. Which does suck. Oh, thank you, Necro. Appreciate you. They didn't do anything like that with family sharing, the virtual checking out of games. Did you figure out what your flowers are? We have mums. We got mums. What's up, Trickster? Sometimes good ideas come from unexpected places. I came up with a new way of crafting a mirror that I hope works just as well for you. Whoever and wherever you are, we can all use some quiet reflection. Wait, so you can't install the same copy of ACNH on two consoles? You have to move them every time? Yes, correct. And this is how this has worked for weeks now. Now there is like a workaround, but it's just all confusing. So if you go into your settings and you go to user settings, and then you go to online license settings, and turn this on. This lets you play downloaded software you've purchased while the other system is connected to the internet, even if you don't have the virtual card loaded. However, only the purchasing account can play the game using its online license, and other users cannot play at the same time. No matter how this is set, you can still play games using their virtual game cards. An online license can't be used on more than one system at a time. An online license can't be used at the same time as a virtual game card for the same game. So what does all this mean to you? What does all this mean? Well, when Nintendo introduced the virtual card system, they made it to where your digital games have to be plugged in to the console you're playing. All right? Pause. So that's how virtual cards work. So all the games that I own are now virtual cards, and I can plug them into my cartridges, my different consoles. So I have 2 Switches. So I can plug my virtual cards into different Switches, all right? I can also loan these virtual cards to another person. So if Leia were to come to my house, we could put our systems next to each other, and I could say, here, borrow this game for 2 weeks. Cool, right? Like, all right, so this all makes sense. This is how virtual cards work. However, if you go into your settings, and again, this is under user settings, and you click this little bot, you see this little button, click turn this on. This allows you to go back to how it worked before virtual cards. So how did it work before virtual cards? All right, let's talk about that. Well, how it used to work is, let's say Leia came over and I logged into my Nintendo account on their Switch. Let's actually just do a different example. I own 2 Switches and I'm logged into my Nintendo account on both. We don't even need another person involved. All right, so I have 2 Switches and I'm logged into both on my Nintendo account. You go to the eShop, right? This is how it used to work. You go to the re-download button, and I could download my digital games to both consoles, right? Does this make sense if you're following? So I purchased AC&H on my Switch 1, but then I could go to my other Switch 1 or my Switch 2 or my Switch 8, and I could go into the eShop and I could download my virtual card. I could download my game, and eTalker, you just need to chill. We're gonna say calm down for 10 minutes. So I could go into the eShop and I could download my game on both consoles. All right, so this is all straightforward. This is how it's worked the whole time for Switch. All right, so again, if you own 2 different Switches, you can log into your Nintendo account on both devices. You could go into the eShop and you could download your games on both devices and you can play them on both, right? Straightforward. This button right here allows that to happen again. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's what this button does. So this button allows you to go and download your games on both devices. All you have to do is click this button. So let's just quickly talk about what's the difference. What's the difference between before they set up all this virtual card nonsense and after? What's really going on here? Well, first off, as you read here, you can only have online licenses on one system at a time. You can only do this, so now it's limited. Whereas in the past, I could have logged on 20 different Switches with my Nintendo account. I could have downloaded my Animal Crossing on all 20 Switches, and anybody could play my copy of Animal Crossing, but just not simultaneously. So Switch number 19 could play it, but just not at the same time as Switch number 15. Switch number 1 could play it, just not at the same time as Switch number 10. Either way, I could have my copy of ACNH on every single Switch. We would just have to take turns playing. Yeah, this is how it used to be. It used to be super sick. Well, now they limited it. Now they're saying no more of that BS. You can only do this between a couple consoles. The other big thing you have to understand is that if you want to use the online license system, it has to check the internet to see and make sure that you're not gaming the system, that you're not playing on multiple consoles. So this requires an internet connection. This little button requires an internet connection. So for example, let's say you decide to go on a trip. You want to go traveling, all right? And you don't want to take your Switch 2 with you. Instead, you want to take your Switch 1 OLED. Well, if your Switch 1 OLED is only using the license system, it's going to have to check the internet every time you go to load up one of your games because it wants to make sure you're not cheating. However, if you use the virtual card system, it doesn't have to check the internet. That's why the virtual card system's actually better in a lot of ways. So before you go on your little trip, you can make sure that all your favorite games are installed on your Switch 1. You wouldn't have to be checking the internet, and you could just go and play your games without ever internet being involved. So the virtual card system allows you to share your games without needing an internet check. But the online license system requires an internet check for you to access those games. And here's a fact. This is how it was for the Switch 1. This is how it was always. If I wanted to share my games with you by logging into my Nintendo account and downloading my games on your Switch, it always required an internet check. I'm fairly certain that's how this has always worked. Because it has to make sure that you're not playing the games at the same time, because you can't play the games at the same time on two different consoles on the same Nintendo account. Like, that wouldn't make sense, right? Because at that point, why would anybody buy games? You can't create a system where one person can buy a game and then share it with everybody. So you just can't play at the same time, but you can still share your games. You can't both play ACNH at the same time. That's not how that works. Right? So like Mrs. Pirate, no, that's not quite how it works. Because if I were to download my games to your console, you still had to load up on my Nintendo account. And once my Nintendo account is in action, I can't play on it on my Switch anymore. That's 100% how it used to work. I know for a fact because I shared with my partner who lives multiple states away from me. And if she was playing my copy of Hades, I couldn't play my copy of Animal Crossing. If she was playing my copy of Pokemon Snap, I couldn't load up my copy of Tears of the Kingdom. Because it's one Nintendo account. Yeah, that's how that's how it always used to work. So this button right here allows you to do the same thing that it used to work. This is how it always has worked. This button is the key to making things feel like they used to. Whereas the virtual card stuff is just kind of confusing. Maybe because it was a digital copy before. Yeah, that's confusing, right? Can you only load one virtual card at a time? No, not at all. I have a bunch of virtual cards. Every single game you see here that's digital, these are all virtual cards plugged in. So it's a little like the way Switch Family worked with with shared digital games. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, Frog. So it's just lending them? Can you only yeah, okay, we read that. It's a tiny bit like Steam Family Share. Virtual cards ain't bad, hearing about it now. Yeah, virtual cards are honestly not that bad. What's up, Sarah Shimmy? Good to see you today. Yeah, the virtual card system's actually not that bad at all. It's just super confusing. Right? And again, like, the difference between the virtual card stuff and just logging into your Nintendo account is the internet check. So, like, in theory, you can loan somebody a game for 2 weeks, and it's not tied to your Nintendo account. I don't know how that works because I've never tried it, but, like, in theory, that's the benefit of the virtual card system. Is that if somebody comes into my life, I could loan them a game for 2 weeks, and it doesn't have anything, it doesn't affect my gameplay or my account at all. So I could loan you like a copy of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. You could play it for 2 weeks straight, and I could be playing my games at the same time, except for Pokemon and Scarlet, because I gave it to you. So I could be playing anything I wanted on my Switch at any time, and you could temporarily own my copy of Scarlet and Violet for 2 weeks. So it honestly, people are overlooking that the virtual card system is actually super fresh, because when have you ever been able to trade your digital games with people? Besides for, again, like Steam Family Share, which is kind of confusing. And like even now, Steam Family Share, you can't play games on the same account at the same time. If somebody's playing my copy of Stardew on Steam, then I can't play my own games on my Steam account. I would have to play a game from their Steam account or something. So like even now, like the virtual card system is actually a pretty interesting idea to allow you to loan games to people. But I think there is some limitations. Like you can only loan it to people in your like your family plan, or you can only loan it to people that are in vicinity of you. Like you have to be in the same room as each other to loan the game. So believe me, it's not like a perfect system. It's still pretty confusing. So can I loan a copy of Fantasy Life I bought on Switch 2 to someone who has original Switch? That's where we get into the weeds, because if you have the Switch 2 version, then maybe not. I'm not sure about that. It's a good question. Steam Family locks you out of all the games if a family member's playing your game. Yes, correct. That is how that works, correct. They changed that? Nope, they changed that. I'm not sure, because they've changed the Steam Family program multiple times. So, to my knowledge, right now I share my Steam account with 3 different people. If somebody's playing my copy of Oblivion, I cannot play any game from my library, but I can play games from their library. I am 95% sure this is how this works, and this is actually the most recent change they just made to the Steam Family. They allow you to share any game within your family, but you can't play it unless multiple people own it in the family. Yeah, that has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. So, yeah, that has nothing to do with what we're talking about. Are you sharing the login? No, see, you don't have to do that anymore. So they changed it all. So the Steam Family system, they changed all that. So now you invite people to your library. They allows you to play a game while they play the shared game. Yeah, but not from your own library. You would have to play one from theirs. That's like it's like what it does is it takes all of your libraries and it puts them together as like one big library. And then, like, if I were to play my copy of Stardew, then it locks down my library. That's at least how it used to work. And like I said, I'm pretty sure that's how it still works. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure. The Steam library thing is so nice. My husband has a lot of games, so it's nice to use his library. I was able to years ago, played Fallout 4 on my library, and I still could play from my library. Yeah, years ago, that's how it worked, right? Yeah, years ago, that is how it worked. I have 5 people in my Steam library now, and I can play any of my games, even if they're using my game from a game from my library. I just can't play the same game from my library unless someone else owns a copy. Okay, cool. So they have made the Steam family share even better. Okay, sick. That's cool. That's super cool. Like I said, I am shared with like 3 people right now, 3 or 4 people. But yeah, it wasn't, they've gone through multiple changes with Steam library. Yeah. They've been changing it a bunch. When Steam Family Library Share first came out, it was like the Wild West, and you could just kind of do anything. That was the best back then. Ba-bam. Splatoon spin-off announced. Yeah, I'm not a big Splatoon guy, but I didn't see any announcement about it. Ba-bam. This looks like it. Here, let's go ahead and pull this up and watch it. The Wild West of file sharing. Yeah, dude. Steam Family Share at first was super sick. Then they locked it down and made it super lame. And that's why I was under the impression it was still pretty lame. Yeah, because like at one point during the journey of Steam Family Share, they locked it down and they made it pretty lame. It was like I was trying to play a copy of a game, but then my buddy was playing my game, and I was like, dude, this blows. Like, I can't do anything. Like, yeah, so like, yeah, the last time I checked, it was pretty terrible. But now you can only share with like 5 people or something like that, right? It's like a family. It's like, it's pretty much like Nintendo Switch, where it's like limited to a certain amount of people. Nintendo Twitter. Yeah, I'm not sure, Merp. You might want to try watching on a different browser, or you might want to try changing the settings that you're watching on the stream on or something. I don't think there's any kind of flashy issues or anything on my end. Yeah. You might just want to maybe refresh or switch it back to 1080p. Hold on, let me go take a look at my stream. I don't remember. It's just me. Yeah, I'm just double checking because there was an issue way back in the day where there was like a weird flickering happening. I'm just gonna watch my own stream for a second, and then we'll check out the Splatoon spinoff. Yes, exactly, Echoing Tear. Yes, that's what I was remembering. Yeah, I can't. The worst part is I don't even remember that issue anymore. So if it happened again, that would suck. But it doesn't seem like it. It seems like it is just a localized issue. Yeah, it seems like it's just a localized issue. Okay, cool. Right. Woo. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, thanks for saying something either way. The Twitch app is pretty dookie at times, that's for sure. Okay. All right, let's see what's up with this Splatoon spinoff. It's kind of a big deal, right? They're announcing a spinoff for one of their biggest games ever. For them to just drop it on Twitter is pretty crazy. What the heck? This has got to be on YouTube, right? Let me go to YouTube because Twitter's videos are always gross and pixelated. Here it is. Nintendo America. Splatoon is a Nintendo only game, but is it like a stepchild somehow? No, Splatoon gets a lot of support. Splatoon's the only game that Nintendo officially supports competitively. They've already made 3 of them since the Wii U era. Splatoon has gotten more installments over the past 10-15 years than some of its longest running games, Metroid, F-Zero, Donkey Kong. Like, Splatoon is actually almost gets too much love from Nintendo. Yeah, like, in my opinion, because I'm not a Splatoon fan, it's almost like they care too much about freaking Splatoon.
What's cracking, Squid Squad? Incoming report from the Squid Research Lab. Without further ado, we're excited to share our latest findings. What you just witnessed are signs of the first ever Splatoon spin-off game coming ashore. Splatoon Raiders. Playing as a mechanic, you'll go on an adventure in the mysterious Spiralite Islands alongside Deep Cut.
So is it a single-player game?
Splatoon Raiders is launching exclusively on the Nintendo Switch 2 system, but research is still underway. We'll report more on our findings when the results are in.
It looks like it's either single-player or like maybe like light multiplayer. Maybe like 1 or 2 players join you. Is it a looter shooter? Yeah, they don't even they didn't say anything. Unfortunately. Yeah, I do know Splatoon has single-player gameplay, but I'm just wondering if this new spin-off game is going to be a fully single-player experience. You know what I mean? It looks like they're releasing new weapons or something here for like regular Splatoon 3.
Well, An update to the Splatoon 3 game is also coming down the spillway. The Splatlands collection, which features new weapons from the Barazushi and Embers brands, is on its way.
So you would think that this would be announced during a Nintendo Direct.
And of course,
This gives me less hope that a Direct is coming this month.
We've identified 30 in total and hope you'll try them out for yourselves. In addition, weapons freshness caps will be raised. And you can earn new in-game badges. Plus, series weapon
Maybe
power
the
and new
Direct is going to be
stats
only
into
Switch
the
2
Anarchy
stuff.
Battle Series.
And that's why. Maybe then the Direct is going to be only Switch 2 content. And this since Splatoon 3 is a Switch 1 game, they wanted it to be separate. Maybe that's what's going on.
For our latest findings. Plus,
Yeah, exactly. Because it might be confusing if they do a Direct that it's both Switch 1 and Switch 2. Maybe it is best that they
don't
separate
call it a
them.
comeback. Okay, you can. Urchin Underpass from the original Splatoon game returns to the rotation for some fresh splatting on classic turf.
Classic turf, dude.
Lastly, but not leastly, for Nintendo Switch 2 players.
Oh,
You'll notice more detailed visuals, and the game will appear smoother in certain locations, such as the square in Splatsville and the Grand Festival grounds.
oh, nice. They're doing a Switch 2 patch.
But no need to fear. Nintendo Switch players and Nintendo Switch 2 players will still be able to splat together.
Nice. So they're announcing like an official
This free
update.
for Splatoon 3 is scheduled
That's
to
cool.
release
This is what I want to
June
see them do to all their games. I want every single one of their games to get these like patches and updates. You know what I mean? Like for sure, dude. That's cool. That's cool. Splatoon fans eating good here with a nice little update, and then a spin-off game that they secretly just shadow dropped. Well, like shadow announced. Yeah, so like I'm almost thinking, and look at if you look at it, the Splatoon Raiders is a Switch 2 game though. Wait, look. Splatoon Raiders is being announced as a Switch 2 game. So that's real confusing. What? So maybe they'll show more in the Direct if we're going to get a Direct in June? That's real confusing. I wonder what they're doing. Yeah. Very, very confusing. That's where Nintendo's doing some wild shiz and trying to psych us out. This was the one game they didn't mention the update for Switch 2 for like they didn't for AC, yeah. They need a Direct to clarify. I'm gonna need money for all the games coming out. Yeah, dude. Yes, Shay Bib, we did see those Silk Song blips. My starter villagers is Mac and Hazel. Mac and Hazel for the starting villagers. Yeah, the rumors are we're getting a Direct this June, but those rumors aren't terribly strong. So we don't have any facts yet, but I would imagine by the end of the summer they're going to do a Direct, because we have we're missing a bunch of dates for a couple games. For Kirby and Metroid, we're missing dates. So I think I'm still pretty confident that we see a Direct. Yeah, we don't have a date for Kirby Air Riders yet, but they just said 2025. Same thing for Metroid Prime 4. We don't know when that's releasing either. They just said 2025. So it's like we're still kind of in limbo land with a couple games that they've shown us, but we don't know when they're coming out. I'm kind of hoping they announce a couple more Switch 2 exclusives. Well, that's kind of the basis of my theory is like, all right, so Switch 2 launch happens. They said that they plan to do a restock by 2 or 3 months. So you figure they have to make some announcements before that restock happens, because they have to convince people who don't have a Switch 2 to buy one. Right? I think that's kind of the vibe I'm getting. Chat, hello. What would you like to talk to me about? I'm all ears. Okay, nothing. What about you? Okay, we have these pears. We got to plant these pears this morning. I can't bring myself to do it, but I'm going to completely redo the whole island. Nice. Nice. Deleting is definitely not a necessary option, you know? That's the beauty of Animal Crossing New Horizons. You can just restart. You can just redo things. Is Mario Kart World the only exclusive game at the moment? Like, is official Nintendo, yeah. Like official Nintendo games. It's the only technical exclusive, and Donkey Kong Bonanza will be the next, which is July. But there is like a couple exclusive games to the Switch 2 versus the Switch 1, like Cyberpunk, for example. But like that doesn't really count. Yes, that is the question. Okay, we have to bring him bugs and fish. We have to bring him a total of 5 bugs and fish, and then we can get Blathers. I honestly should have did that yesterday, but I forgot. Oh yeah, same here. Same here. Fantasy life is life. It's no longer a fantasy. It's just life. Yeah, we just played some Fantasy Life Sunday morning. Why? Who knows what other fantastic creatures might we find living here? Chad, and I have an idea. An old friend of mine runs a museum, and I'd love to send it to him for a closer look. Would you be okay with that? Yeah. That reminds me. This is in no way tied to your generous donation just now, but I have a useful app to show you. The Critterpedia, maybe? Nice. What's up, Renegade? Good morning. I found a creature. Yeah, I think it's 5 bugs and fish total. Oh, what a catch. I do believe this is a drone beetle. Would you mind if I sent this to magnificent creature along to my museum curating friend as well? I like how they don't say the name. Like they're being all elusive about who the museum curating friend is. I've been meaning to share more DIY recipes with you. Yes, let's go. Yeah, it could be anybody. Yeah, so this is how you get the DIY for an axe and stuff. I totally forgot. This is why I couldn't get this stuff yesterday. Oh, we could have totally got this stuff on day 1. I had a feeling there was a lot more day 1 stuff we could have did. but like it had been so long that I kind of forgot how this whole process worked. Did you eventually upload the end of the story of Fantasy Life to an unlisted YouTube video? Yeah, you'll find it under the content archives in my personal Discord. Nice, red lilies. Freaking same, I forgot everything. Yeah, dude, we could have did a lot more yesterday. I'm glad that we took our time though. Like I'm down to make this a nice journey. You know, we're not in a rush. What's up, Dude Supreme? Yeah, my it's like a 30-minute unlisted YouTube video. It's under the content archives. Nice. All right, so now he's talking about propagating and crossbreeding. I don't feel like reading tutorials. Oh, nice. He gave me the DIY for the watering can. Sick. Would you ever dye your beard for a cosplay? Probably not, but maybe. There's like spray-on stuff that's a little bit less damaging to hair. And I would consider spray-on stuff. But the truth is I have no intentions of putting real hair dye into my beard because I'm not trying to damage my beard hair. So anything that would potentially damage my beard hair or its roots or anything is off the table. So like maybe like a spray on would be as far as I would be willing to go. Oh, he already has this. Okay, let me go get another one. No beard brand risk. Yeah, I'm not willing to do anything that could maybe damage. And that's the thing about hair dye and stuff, right? Is hair dye and stuff is known for like slowly destroying hair. Maybe that's just all BS. I'm not sure. But that's what I've heard over my whole life, is that if you constantly dye your hair, it's like really unhealthy for your hair. So like, I'm not sure, but yeah, that's why my first instinct is like, nah, I would never do anything that would damage my hair. Yeah, but I've already lost hair on top of my head. I'm not gonna lose the hair on my chin too. What a catch. I do believe this is an anchovy. Oh, here's the phone call. There's dyes that are one wash like waxes and leave-in conditioners. Those wouldn't hurt the beard. Cool. It's good to know that there is options. Oh, yes. Do you remember that venture we discussed? Well, it's come to fruition. I'm currently stationed on an island that we've decided to call YouTube. Yes, the local fauna are abundant as expected, just as I told you. How many precisely, you ask? Well, there's no way of knowing just yet. But I have received, let's see, 5 outstanding specimens so far. Wait, seriously? Well, that is very exciting. Oh, but you'll have to excuse me. I'm with a customer right now. Alright, sick. We get to go put down our museum. I guess it doesn't really matter where we put it down. So now what we want to do is we want to craft an axe and stuff. Because we need wood and then we can put down the store. But I don't remember. I don't think that happens until Blathers goes down. I think you have to put Blather's tent down first, then you get Timmy and Tommy to put down the store, right? I think so. Dang, too close to the water, huh? No beach museum for us. Boom, 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 maybe right here. No, I didn't upgrade my house yet. No, I didn't. I'm at like 3,000 Nook miles. We got a little bit of work to do. All right, this is gonna be good. We'll probably get it today though. What's up, Starlight Dreams? Welcome in. Yeah, we were just talking about the Splatoon announcement. Very cool. I hope more of their official games get like nice little update patches. I think Animal Crossing is gonna get a little update. I'm going back to my original mindset. ACNH is getting updated. I don't care what the haters say. I'm manifesting. They're gonna do the same thing with ACNH. They're gonna be like, "Oh, now we have an update for AC. It looks better on the Switch too. And here's some Zelda items." A boy can dream, dude. A boy can dream. Oh, and here's some Zelda items. I am playing this on the Switch too, yeah. Just in that voice, yeah. Is this game better than Fantasy Life? There's completely different games. Animal Crossing is in its own league. You think Fantasy Life can keep up with Animal Crossing? Nah, they're just completely different games. I wouldn't say one's better or worse. Trex. Sorry if that's not the answer you're looking for, but they're very different experiences. Yeah, this game is very, very different. I got Hazel and Mac the dog. Hazel the squirrel and Mac the doggo. My dad said Fantasy Life was a girl's game. Sounds like your dad sucks. Sounds like your dad blows, dude. I would stick my middle finger up to him, tell him to fuck off. I did. I knew I could count on you. Thank you. I'll let Blathers know what he can, that he can move in as soon as he wants. By the way, chat, are you saving up Nook miles? There's no rush to pay me back, of course. I'm just excited to see the program in action. I've got a few trips for racking up the old Nook miles, but don't hesitate to ask if you need any advice. Nice. I'm here for the Savage Energy today. Well, the thing is the kids are off school, so we're going to get a bunch of little snot noses coming here who have nothing better to do with their summertime than to come waste time on Twitch. Go play some video games, you little idiot. Get out of here. Why are you on Twitch? Go play Fork Knife. Got your summer, dude. It's your summer. You get 2 months to go hard, and you're on Twitch. Like, what are you doing, man? What's going on? What are kids doing in summer nowadays? You got 2 months, man. You gotta go get it, son. It's summertime, dude. What are you hanging out on Twitch in an old man's chat? Like, what? Go play some video games. Go do the summer reading program at your local library. What are you doing in here? Wait, did he get timed out? He agreed with you? No, I didn't time him out. I banned him because he's obviously a child and we know it's easy to tell when somebody doesn't quite fit in here. So wait, school's already out in the States? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, school's been out for a couple days for most of us. Oh, my bad. Yeah. We don't, you know, we don't feel somebody's energy, you know. The thing about Twitch is you got to realize is there was an let's say a 70%, 80% chance that person was just trolling. And if you didn't catch that energy, then you might not have been on the internet long enough. That person was obviously trolling. Yeah, I don't think their dad said anything. I think they popped into the chat. They saw that I played Fantasy Life recently. They thought they would talk some smack about it being a girl game. Now, I could be wrong, but like, obviously there was a really high percentage chance that they were just making all that up and they just wanted to rile up the chat. You got to realize, like, these are what kids doing. You know, you think some dude's dad actually said that was a girl game? I'm sure those dads exist, but those dads probably don't even have internet at their house, because that sounds like some Virginia bumpkin ass shit. Sorry, Virginians, but you know, I'm talking country boys. Yeah, I don't think in 2025 there's many dads that are actually going to say that to their kids. Like that was obviously a troll. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I've been around the internet for a long time. To be honest, didn't sound like a troll could be though. Yeah, well. Virginians catching strays, yeah. My dad doesn't even know video games exist. Yeah. You gotta been on the internet for a long time. That wasn't a little kid. I mean, when I say little kid, you know, anybody under the age of 20 years old is a little kid to me. That's just the rules when you turn 35. Totally a troll, good call. Yeah. The age thing always goes over my head on Twitch. I just always assume it's 18 plus. You can be 13 years old and have a Twitch account legally. Let alone, think about, I don't know how old you are, but I was on the internet making accounts for adult websites when I was 11. I would just lie and say that I was 18. So, like, I understand what the internet is like. I was on the internet. I'm talking dial-up, dude. I'm talking Wild West. I was 8 years old downloading hentai videos on Napster and LimeWire. Like, you have to so if you don't have that experience, I understand why you don't like fully understand like how the internet works. But like, yeah, like if Twitch says you have to be 13 to be on their platform, we probably have literal 8-year-olds who are probably showing up here sometimes. Like, and I'm no cap. Like, literal 8-year-olds are probably showing up on Twitch because parents don't pay attention to this stuff. Who are probably popping into our Twitch chat saying stuff. You know what I mean? You got to realize, like, yeah, I saw the birth of the internet, right? So you don't like, dude, a lot of people on this platform are literal children, and it's scary, but like, it's the truth, and that's just how the internet works. Yeah. Like it's not, you know, to assume that everyone here is a full-grown adult is a very, very naive assumption. Yeah. And like, now in our community, that's a little different. And for the record, don't start sharing your ages. Let's not do that. But like, please understand that Twitch is not, it's not 18 plus, dude. It's not even close. What's up, Dark Sunrise? Good to see you today. We're all just a bunch of babies. I imagine Twitch's demographic is probably like 15 to 25. In fact, I think the most recent data that I saw, it's 15 to 25. And then from there, it's the next biggest group is 25 to 35. and then it starts to taper off from there. Yeah, exactly, Ron. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Twitch's demographic is very heavily 15 to 25. But like, then you have communities like this on Twitch where like we chill, right? Like my personal demographic here in my chat is probably like 30 to 40, like 25 to 35. I've actually seen my demographics, and like, yeah, my community is very outlier. Yeah, like we have a very solid population of older gamers and like millennials and people like that in this community, like ours. And you could feel the energy in the air. Just hang out and watch our stream for a little bit. You could see the energy, you could feel the energy in the air. So, you know what I mean? Even though we still get a couple youngins here and there, I have a ton of 45, 50, 55, 60-year-olds that watch my content. A ton. Because I give off that energy. I'm an old soul. So, and I'm 36 myself. So like in all reality, the bulk of my demographic is like 25 to 40, 25 to 35. And then I have a huge group of people that watch me that are like 35 to 45. I have a very different demographic. So here in this community, we are very much the exception to the rule on Twitch. And when you hang out in enough streams like mine, you forget that like Twitch is actually dominated by a bunch of little snot noses, but then you get some pretty dope communities that are like super chill. But like you forget that when you hang out in a community like mine. It's so easy to forget that. It's like, oh wow, like Twitch is like snot noses, but then you have places like this. And there's a couple communities. It's not just mine, but there's a couple. I watch streams like this, so I forget that sometimes. Yeah. Word of warning, if you are under the required age, we don't want to know. Yeah, just to go throw that out there again. Age conversation is off the table. Let's not go too hard. Now, if you're an adult, do your thing, but I recommend if you're under 18, don't let us know, please. For your protection. You never know when there's a weirdo watching the show. If you're under 18, please don't let anybody ever know ever on the internet. Always pretend that you're older and don't tell anybody otherwise. I'm used to being the oldest in the room when it comes to communities around the internet. I've been gaming since Atari 2600. I wasn't able to secure a Switch 2 and I'm getting major FOMO. I forget I'm 30 something. I just hit 19 and my voice dropped 3 octaves. Now that doesn't mean that younger gamers aren't welcome here. I'm sure Leia feels very welcome here. You know, Ron's been here for a long time. And that's the beauty of my broadcast specifically, is my broadcast, I have a young soul as well. Right? Like I'm a very well-rounded individual in that sense. Whereas like I have a very young, I like my description of myself and my show is I have a young energy, but I have an old soul. So like I'm just one of those individuals who got really lucky on the internet because I can appeal to multiple audiences because I have a very youthful energy and I'm a very fun and engaging individual. But at the same time, I have an old soul and I think I can attract multiple groups of people. So I get all sorts of youngins who pop in here and who love watching my show because I'm a big goofball. And like youngins like goofballs, you know what I mean? So like, yeah, it's not, you're very welcome here, no matter your age. You know what I mean? That's not what this conversation's about. Just to be clear, like you're very welcome to come and enjoy my show no matter what your age is, you know? My content transcends that stuff, you know? Yeah, it's not a problem at all. Goofball checking in. However, we do have to draw the line when there's a youngin here who doesn't know how to act as a little bit older, you know? Like, can anybody relate to that? Like, is anybody here that kid who hung out with like the adults at the family parties? Or like that kid who like went to sleepovers and like hung out with like your friends' parents, right? And like a lot of times, like that energy is very fluid in like in our community, because like even if you are a young cat, even if you are underage, you can still stick with us if you're willing to just kind of step up to our level. You know, it's the real zany, crazy snot noses that we sometimes remove because they just don't get it. They're, you know, they're all capsing in the chat like it's a Kai Cenat stream, screaming at us, goo goo gaga shit. And we're just like, okay, listen, dude, you gotta go. Because like in all reality, you could totally hang out here, but like you need to like come to our level because we're not gonna go down to yours. You're either gonna step up to our level or you're gonna step out. Like that's just how it goes. You know what I mean? Yeah, yeah. And like that's the one line here that doesn't get crossed. It's like yeah, it's like if you can't step up to our level here and like show a little maturity, like you're not gonna fit in. And you'll notice most of those types of youngins will slowly like drift away because we don't really provide a show that's appealing to them. So they'll be here for like a little bit and they'll like try to fit in and then they'll quickly realize. Like I'll never forget the time that some dude showed up in our Discord and after like a couple days in the general chat, they were like, this community is just a bunch of old people. Like y'all are just a bunch of old people, dude. And we all were laughing so hard. We were all dying like, like damn, like got us. Like oh, I try to join this Discord, but y'all are just a bunch of old people, dude. And we're just like, yeah, dude, sorry, homie. Like we're certainly not a bunch of snot noses. Like I said, like whatever, man. Yeah. Like, what the heck? What is this place? Like he walked into the Stone Age when he joined my Discord. I'm just like, oh, okay, well. I need another fishing rod. Okay. Let's grab some sticks. Oh, and we got how many stone? Just one? Frick. Hopefully we can make an axe or a shovel or something. I don't even know if we have a recipe for that. Yeah. And we're still cooler than they are. This Discord just watches Matlock. All right, calm down, dude. We didn't say boom. Now you're being rude. He said we just watch Matlock. Shut up, dude. Rude, dude. Murder She Wrote's on. Yeah, we stop our stream every day to watch to watch some Murder She Wrote. I almost said Golden Girls, but screw that, man. I was watching Golden Girls when I was like 10. Screw that. Flimsy axe recipe slingshot. Hey, no shovel still. We don't get the shovel until Blathers comes. Blathers gives us the shovel's recipe. Now I remember. Blathers gives us the shovel recipe. That's what it is. I can't handle young folks at all. I'm too old. On an average day, I have a ton of patience for young folks, and I respect them. I was young once, and I try really hard to give them the respect that I wish I got when I was a kid. I like to make jokes and stuff on stream about snot noses and stuff, but in all reality, I really do try to get down to their level and give them the respect they deserve, as long as they're being respectful to us. I'll tolerate all sorts of tomfoolery here, because I think that's how you uplift and help children grow. It takes a village. So when a kid comes into my stream, I don't like to instantly dismiss them. Every once in a while, I do like to have fun, let's be real. But I don't like to always instantly dismiss them, because I do try to give them the courtesy of stepping up to our level and enjoying our content and enjoying our show, because I wish that people gave me that grace when I was a kid, because I was, I think, wiser than my years at that time. So that's honestly the truth. I will always try to tolerate all sorts of energy here. Even if you're a 35-year-old edgelord, not going to call out names, But a 35-year-old edgelord, a 45-year-old edgelord, if you're, you know what I mean? If you got different energies, you know, that's fine. You know, we all come from different walks of life and we all have different energies. And there are plenty of 30-year-old people that act like 10-year-olds, and that's fine. You know, live your life. Like, there is a line, unfortunately. But I do try. I'm a pretty patient guy overall. I have days where I wake up and I have zero patience. And you know, I'm not ashamed to admit that. But I think on an average or above day, I have the patience for all types of people here. And I'm okay with that. Catch me on a below average day or a tired day, and I might just be like, go home, go to bed. It takes a village until you try to smack someone's kid for a ring out in Walmart. Well, yeah, you know, it takes a village doesn't apply to punishment, unfortunately, especially not in 2025. That term, it takes a village, while still applies and is an important term, it doesn't apply the way it used to. That is a fact. It used to include punishment, but nowadays you do not punish somebody else's child. That is not your place. And you better back off. Like, that's just not fair. So yeah, that's not how the world works anymore. Yeah, don't say a word to my kid. Right. Like, that's not quite how the world works anymore. It used to work like that though, for sure. But yeah, you don't go around punishing other people's kids nowadays. You just hands off, man. Yo, thank you, Midna, for hitting up my throne today. They said, thanks for all that you do. I usually have to work lurk, but I just wanted to give a shout out and thank you for being such a big part of my day. And they picked up a stainless steel mixing bowl set for my kitchen for baking and meal prepping. Oh, thanks, Midna. I appreciate that. I do. Yeah, you know, you do whatever you want. I'm just saying, like, as far as it being like a taboo in society, you know what I mean? It is like kind of a taboo in society to scold somebody else's kid. You know what I mean? I've scolded my friends' kids. There are situations where you have to call out strangers' kids. Yeah, it's tough, man. You know what I mean? Like, if a kid's messing with my stuff, yeah, of course. Yeah, I agree with that. If a kid's like messing around my stuff or my yard, at that point, it's my property. But like, for example, like if I'm at the zoo and some kids are like poking the glass and like messing with the turtles or something, like it's not really my place to be like, tell your kids to stop doing this. Even though I want to. Even though I really want to say, listen, stop. What are you doing? That's not my place. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to walk away because I'm not going to sit here and try to educate your kid on why they shouldn't be tapping the glass at the aquarium. You know what I mean? Like, if anything, I'm going to walk up to the parent and say, hey, do you think your kid should be doing this? That's a conversation between me and the parent. You don't go to the kid. Like, that's not your business, man. I don't know. If you don't agree, that's fine. But if I had a kid and you tried to tell my kid what to do, I'd give you the dirtiest look, I promise. However, if I had a kid, I wouldn't let him being an idiot. So, so the point is moot. So, What's up, Sea Witch? Nice background. Thanks, dude. I saw a grown woman doing that at the aquarium last week. The glass is incredibly thick, but still. Yeah, that's a pet peeve of mine. That's a big pet peeve of mine. The tapping on the glass at the aquarium or messing with the animals at the zoo. The last time I went to some sort of not the last time, but one of the most recent times that I went to like some kind of event like that, we did just so happen to show up with like a family that had like 8 kids running around. It was like a mom and a dad and like 8 kids. And these kids were running rampant. And I'm going to be honest, it did spoil my whole trip. I tried not to let it spoil my trip, but it spoiled my whole trip. I was just like, this sucks, dude. I was not happy. Yeah, I did get the Pro Controller, yeah. People are speculating that Nintendo's holiday title this year for the Switch 2 will be a new AC. What do you think? I don't know. I think 2025 is a little too early for a new AC. Could be a spin-off, though. I think if I were to guess on what the holiday title this year is, if it's something that's not been announced, it's probably a Mario. Because it's been since 2017 since we had a 3D Mario. And I think if you just were to like objectively look at the whole gaming landscape for Nintendo and take a look at what title is due in line next, if it was something that wasn't already announced, it would be 3D Mario. 100%. Because 3D Mario, it's been since 2017. So I think that would probably be, if it's something that's not announced. I, however, think it's going to just be Metroid Prime 4. I think people are going to be pretty disappointed because I think Nintendo's going to announce Metroid Prime 4 for Christmas, and then everyone who's like, what's the secret that's not been announced yet? They're all going to be so disappointed, dude. I just saw a video on YouTube yesterday that was like, what's Nintendo hiding from us? And I'm like, I think you guys are working yourselves up for disappointment again, dude. I don't know, man. I think you guys might be asking for some disappointment. I think people might be asking for a little bit of disappointment. I think it's going to be Metroid Prime 4. I think it's going to be Kirby Air Riders. Both of those games don't have release dates yet. Unfortunately, I hate to say it, but I think that is it. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, believe me, I literally just said this morning, I think Animal Crossing is gonna get a patch. Like I'm all here for something like Animal Crossing. I'm here for it, dude. I'm excited. Hopefully it is AC. It could be. I'm never a proprietor of no copium. Heck yes, it could be Animal Crossing. And you want to know why? Because New Horizons is the second highest selling game on the Switch. It made a lot of money, and there is a really good opportunity that Nintendo acknowledges that, and they've been cooking on an Animal Crossing game for a long time. I've also said in the past that the next Animal Crossing game doesn't need a new engine. What does that mean? That means that this engine is fine enough for the next Animal Crossing game, and all they really have to do is make a new game within this game's engine. I've called that out years ago. So it would make the process of making a new Animal Crossing game a lot faster. So I have been the believer of a long time that the next Animal Crossing game could be a lot faster in the pipeline than in the past, because they're not going from New Leaf to New Horizons. They're not going from DS to Wii. They're not going from Wii to 3DS, 3DS to Switch. They're going from Switch to Switch 2, and that's super seamless, and you could easily pump a game out in 5 years. Easily. So, yeah, I think it's very possible that they could totally drop an Animal Crossing around Christmas. Heck yeah. However, I do think that if you really sit down and take a deep breath, you do realize, like, Nintendo doesn't like to cannibalize their own content. And, like, they do like to take their time with big releases. And, like, I don't know. I think there's plenty of conversation to be had about how, you know, like, maybe Animal Crossing is... Maybe it's too soon, is what I'm trying to say. Is it too soon, is what I'm trying to say. Is it too soon? Do they have plenty of people buying New Horizons still? Right? That's actually a really good comment. I wonder... I haven't done the research. I wonder if Animal Crossing is still selling well monthly, quarterly. Because let's say Animal Crossing New Horizons is still selling really well right now. I don't know right this moment. Then why would they feel the need to release a new AC? It's just Mario Kart 8 Deluxe all over again. So this is facts I don't have at the moment, but that's a really... Like, if AC is still selling really well, why would they pump out another one right away? Right? That's why we waited 10 years for Mario Kart. Well, even though they did release an interview that said that Mario Kart, the wait for Mario Kart was partially because of technology holdbacks and also because, and they said, and I quote paraphrased, once we announced Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Rider's Path or whatever that expansion pass was that they did, they said, well, we realized we had more time. So we decided to delay Mario Kart World to the Switch 2. They straight up said that. They were like, well, once we decided to release this DLC, we realized they don't need a new game yet. So like, yeah, like I think like if the game is still selling well, that could be a big indicator on if we're going to see a new AC right away. Right. So I don't know. I can tell you this much. At the end of the day, I am very hopeful that the next AC game will be announced by the end of this year. I'm also very hopeful that it'll be released by the end of next year. And I think that's a very logical timeline. Announced by the end of this year could totally happen. And I think released by the end of next year could totally happen. Whether it's announced or not this year. I think that is a very logical timeline for AC right now. So we'll have to wait and see what they do. But that's my hope. I hope. I'm right there with anybody who's excited at the thought of AC. Like I think there's a very good chance we see some AC by the end of the year. Or by, like something Animal Crossing related by the end of the year. All we can do is cross our fingers, toes, and what? But sales on a 5-year-old game that stopped getting updates 3 years ago seems less likely, don't they? That's the thing I don't know. Yeah, you would think so, but if you don't, to give you an example, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is the highest selling game on Nintendo Switch 1. The game was actually originally a Wii U game. It got ported to the Switch and still managed to become the highest selling game of all time. And before the Switch 2 came out, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was still the highest selling Nintendo game quarterly. Think about this for a second. This game that was over a decade old was still the highest selling Nintendo Switch 1 game literally 3 to 6 months ago. And the game is over a decade old. And Animal Crossing is also right up there. New Horizons has been in the top 3 selling games quarterly since it came out pretty much. So yeah, sales do matter. And Nintendo doesn't feel the need to replace a game that's still selling well. If Nintendo feels like there's still people that want to buy Animal Crossing, why would they need to make a second? That's the scary part. Why? Like that, ask yourself that question. Like, why would they need to make a new one if it's still selling as well? If they don't need to do that. It shows Nintendo that there's still people out there that want to buy AC. It shows Nintendo that there are still people out there that are interested in buying Animal Crossing, so they can wait until those people get the game and then they can release a new one and make us buy that, right? That's kind of the vibe. That's the problem. So I don't know, but you know what I mean? Like they can just milk it. And like, here's the thing too. Think about it like this. So then now you have the Switch 2 come out. And all the people who buy the Switch 2, what's the first game that they might buy? Oh, well, you know what? Why don't I buy Animal Crossing? I'll pick that up with it. So now they have a new console out, and Animal Crossing can be played backwards compatibly. You can just keep selling New Horizons. You know? But as an argument to my own point, eventually they did replace Mario Kart 8 with Mario Kart World. Even with those sales. So at some point they do have to replace it. They do have to move on. And I guess the question is that going to happen this year for AC? You know? Will they move on? Do they feel like it's time to move on? Do they feel like they have something they should do? You know, because updates and DLC and stuff doesn't matter. I see people bring that up a lot. Oh, well, this game hasn't been supported for 3 years. Yeah. Super Mario World for Super Nintendo was also not supported 5 years after its release. It didn't make it any less of a hot seller back in the 90s. And like, if that's not a good comparison for you, then use Mario Odyssey. Like, Mario Odyssey hasn't been updated outside of the Switch 2 patch. So up until the Switch 2, it wasn't updated for 7 years, technically. It was a single-player game, no DLC. DLC and a game being supported after launch has nothing to do with the game's success. That's not... People just get so caught up in, like, the live service gaming space. Oh, if a game doesn't get an update, it's dead. That's not how single-player games work. Single-player games don't die because they don't get updates. They live on forever. They will always be relevant because it's a single-player game. It doesn't need updates. Animal Crossing doesn't need any more updates. This game is fine. It doesn't need anything. This is a full feature game at this point. This is a full feature game at this point. This game has everything it needs to be a beautiful experience. It doesn't need anything else, right? No, I don't have a bridge yet. We might not be able to do the exploit because I don't have a bridge yet. I can only do the same festival so many times. So let me ask you this, Frog. Have you played older Animal Crossing games? Because that's how every Animal Crossing game was. I go back and do the same festivals in Animal Crossing GameCube still to this day, 20 years later. I go back and I do the same festivals in New Leaf still to this day, 10 years later. Same thing with City Folk. That's how Animal Crossing works. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it was never meant to be a game where the holidays change and evolve. That's not how Animal Crossing has ever worked. Now, it would be pretty cool to think of a universe in which we got a live service Animal Crossing game that kept giving us fresh holidays every year, like some Hello Kitty stuff. I would kind of be into that. It could be a cool game. It could be cool. But that's not what Animal Crossing was initially. That's the thing you got to keep in mind. Animal Crossing was never sold as a game that was going to keep updating forever and ever and ever. That's not what it was sold as. And if you thought that that's what Animal Crossing was going to be, that's either a miscommunication from Nintendo, or as Super Dope said, that's an expectation that has been built by the industry. Regardless, that's not actually what Animal Crossing was ever sold to be. Animal Crossing was never sold to be a live service game. Right? The subtle seasonal updates would have been really awesome. No, I agree, man. I do agree that it would be kind of cool, right? I do agree with that. Attach rate's the fastest way to make money. Nintendo has vetted interest in producing games that have a high attach rate with system sales. So as it's the most profitable transaction to do it like versus buying the game independently. That's why companies like GameStop try to sell you warranties, because it's basically pure profit. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was the most bundled game of any Nintendo Switch title. That's true. That's true. I just know that's what it could be. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, that's like a separate conversation. But like the idea of Nintendo making live service games, that's like a separate conversation, right? Like, does Animal Crossing have the potential to be a live service game that's constantly updated? Yes. Does Nintendo think that that is a valuable thing to do? I don't know. Right? I don't know. There's an interview with one of the New Horizons devs that they stated along the lines of they wanted New Horizons to entertain people for years to come so that they'd be playing it for 5 years in the future. And it got taken massively out of context as Nintendo promising updates. Yeah, I remember that. Personally, I would not want ACNH holidays to ever change. It would be a downer to me. Yeah, Pocket Camp, exactly. Right. So that's where I share my opinion. So in my opinion, live service games are interesting, but live service games also die and never come back. So like if Animal Crossing was a live service game that got constantly updated, there's a chance that 20 years from now, when I go to load up ACNH, I'm not going to be able to have the same experience that I had originally because they rotated the holidays out or something like that. So my personal opinion is that the live service model is scary. And I don't know if I necessarily like the idea of a live service Animal Crossing. We have one. It's called Pocket Camp. We had one. Now Pocket Camp is like a single player game, but they managed to get all the content over the years back into it again. And Pocket Camp has proved to me that live services don't have to just die and disappear. So on one hand, a live service style Animal Crossing that maybe added new content over a decade would be really cool, especially if that decade worth of content rotated after that forever and ever. But on the other hand, I think there's something nostalgic and pure about a video game being released, and that's it. That's just the game. And I'm an old school gamer, and I prefer my games to just be done. That's me personally. I prefer my games to just be done, released, and never touched again. That's just me, right? Like I don't want to buy a video game and then have to update it constantly. I don't want to buy a video game and have them keep shoehorning content into it. I'm completely content with purchasing a video game and having it just be done, and that's what I get. And once it gets boring, I move on and I go play another game. Because, and here's the reason I feel that way, and I'll even explain why I feel this way for just a second. Because I don't know about all you, but I don't have time to play the same game consistently over my life. I like to do what I call the revisit. I like the replay. So I don't play live service games. I really don't. I play TCG Pocket and that's it. Because what I do as a gamer is I go back, when I get bored of a game, I stop, I put it down, I come back to it a year, 2, 3 years later, I play it again, and it's like it's brand new. And then I get bored and I put it down and I go play something else. You see, I'm not afraid to go play something else. Animal Crossing doesn't have to be the only game that I play. I play it until I get bored, and then I go do something else. And that's me personally. I'm not saying this is how other people should navigate video games. I'm just saying that's how I play video games. So I don't really need a game to continue on forever and ever and ever. I never needed that. I don't think I ever wanted that. The closest thing I've ever got to that was like World of Warcraft. I do like me a good MMO. And sometimes I do wish my favorite MMOs were still around. But like part of me is okay that they're not. Because then I can just move on and do something else. And I think that's the difference between me and some other gamers. Is like, I'm okay with the game getting boring. You know? Like, that's fine. Just go play something else. There's plenty of video games to play, you know? I had a conversation about this, that a finished game should be a finished game. And I used the example of Legend of Zelda or Ocarina of Time. When I was 12, I loved it so much. I didn't touch it for 10 years, and I came back and I was able to love it all over again for the exact same game. Didn't change at all. It was still amazing. I think a lot of gaming companies have lost the plot. You don't need to make live service games to be successful. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I binge play games until I'm sick of them. Same here, exactly. I'll binge a game until I'm completely sick of them. And then I just move on and go do something else. Whereas like when something is live service and it kind of keeps you on the hook, it can almost make me feel like I want to keep playing that game. And I will say this though, and this is something that I've recently been realizing, this is a personal problem for a lot of gamers. This isn't necessarily the industry's fault. I will say this. That doesn't mean that live service games shouldn't exist. Because it's not the live service game's fault that I want to keep playing it. I have been teaching myself that it's okay to play a live service game for just a month. And I've realized that that's beautiful. I've realized, like, I don't have to go play World of Warcraft. And I don't have to become a World of Warcrafter. I could pay $15. I could play it for a month. I could get my fix. I could turn it off, and I could go play something else. So I also want to acknowledge that, like, live service games aren't the bad guy here. They're not the plague of existence. Live service games are really cool. They can be really cool to go and play a game and call it your main game. And if that's what people want, that's rad. But for me, I'm realizing that what I want to do as a gamer is I want to move on and do other stuff. So I limit myself. When I load into a live service, I generally limit myself. I say, okay, I'm going to play this for a couple months and then I'm going to move on. So it wouldn't be a problem if Animal Crossing was live service in theory, because I would just do the same thing. I would play it for a couple months, and then even though I would feel like I'm missing out, right? That's the problem. You feel like you're missing out. Oh, but if I take a couple months break, I'm going to miss that secret event with the Zelda items, and I'm never going to be able to get those Zelda items, so I better stay subscribed. You know what I mean? If you can fight the FOMO, live service is not a problem. Live service has never been the problem in that sense. If you can fight the FOMO, it's fine. It's just another video game and you play it and then you stop. But the FOMO is hard to fight. I understand. Believe me. It's hard to like pull away. It's like, frick, I'm going to miss out. Like right now, the game that I have the biggest FOMO with is TCG Pocket. TCG Pocket. I feel like if I don't log into that game every day, I'm missing out. The game's got me. It's got me under its thumb. I'm locked in. I feel like if I don't load up TCG Pocket on my phone every day, I feel like I'm losing out. I feel like I'm missing out. I feel like I'm screwed. So I log in every single day. Sometimes it feels like a chore. It's like, oh, I better log in and rip my packs. So it's like, believe me, dude, like live service can be a problem and it's not ideal, but I don't think the conversation should be live service is bad, zug zug. No, man. Because listen, I don't know about y'all. And if you can relate to this, live service games can be really fun, and I've had a lot of fun playing them sometimes. I don't know how many of you have participated in live service games, but they're a lot of fun. MMORPGs are a blast. Palia, World of Warcraft, Maple Story. Dude, sometimes these games can be so much fun to play. Right? So it's like, I don't want to like the conversation to be live service is always bad. It's not necessarily the case. It can be a really good time. But I am scared of every game turning into a live service. Because I just don't have the time for that. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, I don't know. You know, I am kind of, I don't like the idea of living in an era where every single video game is live service. Like, that would actually really ruin video games for me. I think I like the idea of single player games coming out. So, but that's my take on live service. I just wanted to share my thoughts on that because I haven't talked about that on the channel ever. I don't think they do that. Yeah, I agree, SYM. I don't like the idea of every game being live service. I can't play them all at once. Yeah, exactly. So like I do hope that Nintendo keeps providing single player experiences. But I do love the idea of AC&H maybe being more of one of those like semi-live service experiences to go to what Dr. Soap said. I agree. I do think that if Animal Crossing New Horizons was updated the whole time over these past 5 years, it would have been clearly ideal. Was it necessary? I don't think so. I think that crosses a line. But would it have been ideal? Would it have been a great time? Yes. Dude, ideally, they kept adding content to this game. Ideally, they kept adding items and furniture because, you know, that would have made this game feel more fleshed out, more finished. And then maybe right now we would all still be really excited because, you know, they could drop a new set of furniture in the game. Right? We talked about, I remember when New Horizons came out, we said that we would gladly buy Sims style packs for this game. Every person in the chat was like, take my money, Nintendo. You want to sell me some pieces of clothing for $5? I'll do it. You want to sell me a pack of furniture for $5? I'll do it. Everyone was like, let's go. So yeah, I do believe that like it would have been ideal if this game did keep getting updated. Because I think a lot of people would have been here for it. We would have all been really excited about that. But I do respect Nintendo's decision to move on. And that's where me as a personal gamer, I got a lot of respect for Nintendo for being willing to move on and just give us a new game, right?
Good morning, friends. Highly and you always say what I'm feeling, dude. H Desolute. I hope life is giving y'all good love and lots of happiness.
I do. They moved on to Splatoon. You know, nobody really knows for sure. That's all just hearsay. So in theory, because Splatoon and Animal Crossing are the same developers, people assume that that's why Animal Crossing hasn't gotten new content. But that's never been confirmed by Nintendo, and I think it would be... Nobody really knows now, do we? People just really like to make a lot of hardcore assumptions. We don't even know. Nobody knows. What if Nintendo already has a separate Animal Crossing team and nobody knows? They could have had a separate Animal Crossing team for the past 5 years. All we know is like a little bit of information from a couple people that used to work at Nintendo. And they just so happened to tell us that Splatoon and AC were the same team. And that's probably true, but that doesn't mean that like this game isn't being worked on because, you know what I mean? It's all just speculation, so. You know, if you want my opinion, I think Animal Crossing New Horizons stopped getting updated because Animal Crossing New Horizons didn't need to be updated anymore. Is that such a shocking comment to make? I ask genuinely. yes, we could have gotten more content and it would have been like great. But the game didn't need any more content. So they walked away. It's done. The game's over. It's done. You know what I mean? Like that's such a crazy concept, but like I think that's it. I think that's the reason why the game stopped being supported. It's just so, and you want to know what my biggest argument for that being true is? Look at Tears of the Kingdom. In an interview with the Tears of the Kingdom developer, Eiji Aonuma, when asked, "Are you going to be adding DLC for Tears of the Kingdom?" he replied, "No, we don't think so, because we're done with this version of Hyrule. We feel like we've done everything we can do with this game, and we want to move on to a new project." Now, if you apply that logic to the Animal Crossing team, maybe they feel the same way. Maybe they all sat down and they said, do we want to keep pumping out content for this game? Or do we feel like we finished and we truly created a product that is going to last for decades? All right, you know what? We're done. Let's move on. Let's try something new this time. You know what I mean? Like, I think that there's some integrity there. I think there's some beautiful integrity to the idea that at some point, a creator, a developer, a publisher says, let's move on. We're done now. We can go do something else. And I don't think there's any problem with that. You know what I mean? Like, look at, to step away from Nintendo, look at Baldur's Gate. Baldur's Gate literally won Game of the Year. And they said, we're done making content for this game. Bye. Now, of course, the last time I talked about this, somebody said, oh, it's because they didn't want to renew the license, and it doesn't matter. When you're the Game of the Year, you could milk that baby dry. You could milk that cow until dust is coming out of them teats, baby. You renew the license, and you milk it. You drop 15 DLCs, and you just keep selling Baldur's Gate content. But they pulled back and they said, no, we're good. So, like, is it such a foreign concept that a company can just be done with a game? Hades said the same thing. Hades blew up, one of the most iconic games of our generation. And the developer said, no DLC, we're good. And when the fans said, please, please, this game's amazing. Can you just give us more content, please? They said, no, we're making a new game. We'll see you in 3 years. 3 years later, they announced Hades 2. So this isn't a foreign concept. Just because a game is successful doesn't mean that it just needs a bunch more content. Sometimes a creator can say, I'm done. Let's move on. Let's do something different. You know what I mean? Like, if you really think about it, I feel like that's all that happened with Animal Crossing. I don't think it had anything to do with Splatoon. I don't think it had anything to do... You guys, how many people... Let me look at this real quick. This, out of curiosity, and this might not be relevant, but how many employees does Nintendo have? 7,724 people. How many developers in-house does Nintendo have? 800 to 1,000 people develop in Nintendo in-house. And you guys are telling me that if they didn't want to, they couldn't just give more people to Animal Crossing to make more content? People pretend like this isn't a multi-billionaire company. They could have did whatever they wanted to do. Oh, they didn't have enough people because they were working on Splatoon. What do you mean? Like, what do you mean? They have 1,000 developers in-house. They could have done anything they wanted to do. They consciously decided to stop working on this game. It's not like they were crunching for employees, dude. It's not like they were like, oh, well, we got to make a real tough decision. Do we work on the next Splatoon or do we work on Animal Crossing? Because we can't afford to do both. Like, that's not what happened here. Those rumors are just pure speculation. People just like to pretend like they know what's going on in the back end of like these businesses, but nobody knows. I don't know. You don't know. We don't know. But I promise you, if Nintendo wanted to make more content for ACNH, they would have. They would have milked it dry. They just weren't interested in doing that, man. They want to do something else. And see, for me, on a positive note, this makes me super happy because I truly believe that it's because they're working on a new Discord or sorry, on a new game. I feel like it's because they're working on a new game. They're working on a new game. They're not making new content for New Horizons. They're working on a new game. And that gives me so much hope because I am one of the people who would prefer a new game over content for an old game. And I guess that is a luxury of mine because I can afford to buy a bunch of new games. But I do respect that if you're somebody who games on a budget, the idea of buying more and more new games doesn't maybe sound too good to you. Right? But like, I am okay with that. I'm willing to buy a brand new Animal Crossing game for $60, $70, $80. Let's not even say 80, 60, 70 versus them just pumping out more content for the old stuff. I'm way rather have a new game. So that's why, like, I'm a big supporter of them moving on. I kind of always have been a big supporter of them stopping updating this game because it gave me hope that new content was coming. It gave me lots of hope. You think COVID just impacted updates and how many there were? No, I don't think COVID potential. I don't know. I think obviously COVID messed up a lot of stuff. It's just hard to say specifically what it messed up and what it didn't, you know? A lot of speculation. I think obviously development times were changed and maybe stuff was left off the table. So let me give you an example, M-Ward. Let's say there was an idea, a project that they were going to work on before COVID hit. But then when COVID hit, they had to make a bunch of adjustments and changes, and maybe they canceled a couple projects. I believe that probably happened across the board to every company. I think every company out there probably had projects that got canceled. And who knows what Nintendo canceled, right? Nintendo could have canceled New Leaf Remastered. Nintendo could have canceled maybe 3 updates they had planned for this game. Maybe that's why we don't have Zelda items. Because maybe that was just one of the projects they canceled. They were like, we gotta trim the fat. So yeah, maybe it did affect stuff, but I couldn't tell you like how heavily it affected it. You know what I mean? Have you considered doing a modded island? I was considering a modded island until I got a Switch 2. Now I can't be bothered modding my Switch 1. And I don't care anymore. I feel like Nintendo is so stubborn that COVID realistically didn't affect much. Agreed. I actually really agree with that take. That is actually a personal vibe that I have as well. I have a personal vibe that it really didn't affect much at all, besides for maybe a couple release dates. I think it might have affected a couple release dates. You know what I mean? Like, I think ACNH getting delayed was probably a part of it. You know, Tears of the Kingdom getting delayed was probably a part of it, right? Just delays. Exactly, Lolive. I think just delays. I love the sound effects in this game. They're so good. They're so good. All right, let's go ahead and pay off our house. We did get our 5,000 Nook miles. They could be better. Oh, I'm sure. I'm sorry to hear that. No one has ever said that developing an island paradise would be easy. But we don't do things because they're easy. We do them because they are profitable. That's the Tom Nook way. That's literally Nintendo. We don't do things that are easy. We do them because they're profitable. Well, if you are growing weary of a life in a tent. Yes. I suppose the time is right to discuss the possibility of building custom homes. Now there are certain challenges to building fabulous homes in remote locations. Challenges that do translate directly into cost, I'm afraid. But with zero interest financing and extremely lax repayment plan, anything is possible. If you find yourself interested in a new home, come see me. One more thing. We have a Miles redemption service for the Nook Miles you've collected. Nice, so this will give us the wetsuit. So the problem is that we still can't get the wetsuit till tomorrow, though. Which is rough. Even if we were to order it today. Let's go see how much it costs. I think it's 1,000 maybe. All right, nice. Wow, it's 800. We only need 200 more. Let's make sure we get that. What's your favorite thing they updated in AC&H? You mean like over like the whole life of AC&H? It was the 2.0 update was seriously sick. The 2.0 update was massively sick. I think there was a lot. I think the addition of Brewster and gyroids is probably my favorite update that this game got overall. Brewster and gyroids are probably my favorite content that this game got added over the years. Right, we need to catch 2 more bugs and then we're good to go. Nice. The little staple on the back of your crown is everything. It's a Burger King crown. If you haven't worn a golden Burger King crown before, have you even lived? I say, have you even lived? You love the museum of these games the most? I miss the feeling of playing this game for the first time. My first ever AC. Maybe we've been too accustomed to games just putting out content after content after content, and now we expect every game to do that. Yeah, and I've talked about that before. Yeah, I've talked about how I blame the industry for a lot of gamers' expectations nowadays. I think we all kind of look at video games different, and if you didn't grow up playing older games, you might not even understand at all what I'm saying. That's the crazy part about it, is because like in theory, if you started gaming in like, let's say the Xbox One era, then like you might not even know what it feels like for a game to be released and not have like updates constantly. You have to think about that. A lot of us, I think we forget that like there are gamers potentially in this room that their first video game was on like an Xbox One. like a PlayStation 4. Think about that for a second. I remember when I talked to this, like when I was 25, I was dating a girl who had a brother that was like 13 or something. And this kid was like, I asked him what his first video game was, and he said Halo. And I was like, no way, dude. Your first video game was Halo? And he goes, yeah, it was on my Xbox One. It was the Master Chief Collection. And I almost fell out of my chair because I was like, it hit me. At the time, I was 25, this was 10 years ago. It hit, I was like, wait a second. Holy heck, am I old? Your first video game was on an Xbox like One? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, whoa. Like, you like, at that point, you really have no idea like what a video game that just releases as is like. Like at that point, you have no idea like what it was like to grow up in an era where like a video game just like releases and like that's it. That's just what you get. It's like, whoa, it threw me for a loop back then. Yeah, I was like, whoa, dude. My bestie's first game was Baldur's Gate 3. Yeah, so I feel like there is like a certain expectation that the industry has set. That's why you see Nintendo trying to keep up, right? Like, what do you think Pocket Camp was? You know what I mean? Splatoon, like these games that Nintendo does update frequently is like an example of Nintendo like trying to keep up. Like Splatoon is probably the closest thing to a live service that Nintendo makes that isn't a mobile game, right? Is that fair? Is there any other games you guys can think of? Splatoon is probably the closest thing to a live service. I think Splatoon 3 still gets like pretty regular updates and content. And like they do like the Splatfest weekends and stuff, right? Like Splatoon's probably the closest thing to a live service game I think Nintendo does. It wasn't allowed to play my brother's games on Xbox, so I had to wait till I was an adult to play the games I wanted. This is a black bass for sure. Yeah, we just saw that, yeah. Yeah, Splatoon 3 just got an update announced for the Switch 2, yeah. Yeah, it's probably the closest thing to a live service. So, like, Nintendo's trying to keep up. Like, they're trying to have a game out there that, like, keeps people on the hook. I respect Nintendo, though, because the difference for them is that they don't charge people for those updates. Besides for, like, DLC, right? Like, once you buy Splatoon, you get access to all the new content every time, except for DLC. So, like, it's nice. It's nice that they do a blend of free updates, DLC here and there. So at least their approach to live service is pretty chill. Like, the 2.0 update for New Horizons was free. Yeah, Ella, I've heard that it's a consistent 30 FPS across the board. And that it's a substantial improvement for your island and how your island runs. And also loading times are faster apparently, but that's it. So just FPS increases and load times. Is there any big differences on the Switch 2? No, not that I can notice. Nice, bluegill. Yeah, nothing worth mentioning necessarily. The only difference, so it's not like we didn't get like a patch for ACNH. So in all reality, it's just like better frame rates. But like this game didn't really run bad except for like super busy islands. And then, like I said, apparently loading times are better, but I haven't experienced that yet because I haven't done any like loading of anything. So this is for Children's Day, because Children's Day was recently, right? Isn't that what the crown and the cape is for Children's Day? It's like a special item you can get around a holiday. Because Japan has a special day called Children's Day, I think. I think that's what this outfit is from. You think the 3DS will ever come to the Switch too? Part of me thinks that the DS will, but then I think about all the complications of them getting DS games to work on the Switch. And I'm really starting to think that we're not going to see DS games. I think instead they're going to just cherry pick 3DS games and transfer them and charge anywhere between 40 and 60 bucks for them, which is obviously the worst case scenario. Yeah. Like Luigi's Mansion 2, charging $60 for a 3DS game. Hey, look, I like Luigi's Mansion 2, but yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. I think they're just going to cherry pick 3DS games and they're going to port them and they're going to charge anywhere between 40 and 60 bucks. I don't think we're going to see a 3DS NSO. That's what you're asking, right? 3DS Nintendo Switch Online app? Don't think so. And like I said, I originally used to think that DS games would have a Nintendo Switch Online. And now I'm starting to realize that the complications there are actually pretty brutal. The more I think about DS working, the more I realize like Nintendo's going to have to release a piece of hardware with the DS NSO. They're going to have to release like a way for you to dock the Switch handheld vertically, which there's already technology for the Switch 2 to be vertical. So the technology's there. Or they're going to have to release some kind of special stylus.
Hey everyone, don't forget to hydrate
Something.
and be awesome.
Something. Thank you for 18 months. Thank you again, Rain5150 for 43, by the way. Thank you very much. Thank you again, Midna, as well. Look at the Wii, not necessarily. Look at the Wii U. You could play DS games on gamepad only. So that's a good argument. So maybe what they do is they release the DS games, but you can only play them handheld. Okay, that's fair. That would be interesting, and that's not something I expected, but I do agree with you that they could totally do that. Yeah. I do agree with that statement. Maybe the way they make DS games happen is they release it and they just say, you can only play these handheld. You can never play these docked. Yeah. Yeah, that could totally be an option. It would be kind of strange, though. I do think that would be a super strange decision, but it would work. I mean, I would be happy with that. And I'm sure DS fans, because remember, we do got to remember that, like, the Switch is meant to be hybrid. So they shouldn't be afraid to lean into the hybrid. Yeah, that's why I didn't even mention the mouse mode, because I don't think mouse mode's a good solution for DS. But maybe. It was very much a Nintendo way to do that. Yeah, it does actually, Pesto Panda. So yeah, I don't know. I've been a big proprietor of DS games coming to the Switch though for a long time. So don't take my attitude as the wrong way. Like, I've been in the camp of I think DS games come to the Switch. But just the more I think about it, the more I'm like, I don't know, man. Maybe it seems like it's too complicated. It could just be too complicated. I could see Wii games coming, though. I think it would be interesting for them to do Wii games. I miss ground storage. Yeah, this is my storage. I got a house, though. I gotta go have Tom Nook build my house real quick. Oh, really? You can only play Pokemon Cafe handheld? Really? About my home. You made a decision about home ownership? As fun as living in a tent can be, a house gives you more space and helps you put down roots. Now, building a house means taking out a new loan in the amount of 98,000 bells. What do you think? Let's do it. Let's go with blue. Homeowners get an automatic Nook mileage program upgrade. Sick. We're getting upgrades, baby. Oh yeah, the Nook Miles Plus. So do we already have Nook Miles Plus right now? We do. Nice. Nook Miles Plus is cool. Are partially through day 2. Are we enjoying the fresh island? Yeah. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I was enjoying it yesterday as well. But because I forgot that I forgot the chain of events in this game. So we delayed everything by a day, which is fine because I'm taking my time. But so we accidentally delayed everything by a day because since we didn't put Blather's tent down yesterday on day 1, which is possible, we're not going to get access to a shovel till day 3 now, tomorrow. And without a shovel, we can't get more stone, so that we can't get more wood, and we can't get more iron. So we accidentally delayed everything an extra day because I forgot that you have to give bugs and fish to Blathers on day 1. I completely forgot about that whole process. So now that we have Blather's tent down, tomorrow we'll get access to putting down the bridge, we'll get the shovel, and we'll get access to making the materials for the shop. All that stuff's gonna happen tomorrow, I think. But at that point, we're locked out. Now we could do multiplayer, and I think we can earn enough Nook miles to go on a Nook Miles tour if we wanted to. If we were to sit here and farm Nook miles, I think we could go on a tour. Let's see. I think we can. But that might not reveal till tomorrow either. I want to fly. Let's see. Yeah, so we also delayed being able to go to an island and tour. So we can't do that tomorrow till either. So right now that's, yeah, we kind of accidentally delayed everything an extra day because we didn't realize about Blathers. Yeah, so we have to wait. We kind of you can hit rocks for iron with the flimsy axe. Yeah, I know, but I already broke the flimsy axe getting wood. I didn't think about it. I do have 5 pieces of iron though, but the problem is I don't have any recipes either. You have to realize that they don't give you the shovel recipe until you have Blathers is the one that gives you the shovel recipe. So these are the only recipes we have right now. So we can't do anything anyways. Yeah, all we can do is collect materials, but we can't do anything else. So once we get Blathers gives us access to the shovel, and then the whole game opens up. Yeah, see, I can buy a flimsy axe if I want, but it's not necessarily the flimsy axe that's the problem. I kind of misspoke. That doesn't matter. Getting stone, none of that matters. What matters is we need a shovel. We need a shovel so we can plant our pears. And we need the wetsuit, which is coming in the mail tomorrow, so that we could go and check out the rest of the island. So either way, everything was locked behind Blathers. So like, yeah, we're just waiting till tomorrow. But that's okay though, because I'm done for today anyways. All right, fam, we're doing a very short broadcast today. I'll be back here potentially tomorrow. I'll make sure I post in the Discord what I'm doing. But I'm out of here today. Thanks for coming and hanging out. Just a light broadcast. I didn't want to cancel last minute, so I figured I'd come in and hang out for a little bit. It was a nice yap session for a couple hours, but I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. So we'll go do a raid. Let's go find someone to drop into today. You guys can go watch another creator here today if you're interested. Or you could always go over to the YouTube and check out my YouTube content as well. I'm gonna go back to bed because I don't necessarily feel too good. And yeah, thank you for coming and hanging out, everyone. And apologies for the short broadcast, but it was nice to come and hang out for a little bit. Let's go drop a raid over to... Let's go drop a raid over to one of my favorite channels, Turtles and Chill. Enjoy the Turtles, fam, and I'll see you later. It is follower only, so you might not even be able to type in their chat. Just a heads up. You might not even be able to type. But enjoy Turtles and Chill, and I'll see y'all later, all right? Have a great day today. Thank you for coming out, everyone. I appreciate y'all. Peace.